People have been asking, what drone should I buy? Today we're going to kind of tackle that, which drone you should be buying in 2022. Let's face it, we're in the middle of 2022 now for all intents and purposes. To really hone down on what drone you should be getting in 2022, I think it's important, especially with our current global economy going on and everything else, without getting into politics and all that. But I think it's really important to kind of set a price point. So today I want to talk about which drone for under $1,000 should you be getting if you're just starting out in this hobby. So now our first option that we're going to talk about is the DJI Mini 2. Amazing drone. It definitely holds its own within the airspace and within the skill sets and whatnot. You definitely get some fantastic footage and pictures right at $600. It's really, really tempting to go and pull the trigger on that. The Mini 2 is a really good option, but the fact of the matter is it's lightweight, absolutely. So what does that mean? Or whenever you see the wind and breeze blowing like it is now, it's going to start pushing you around. And no obstacle avoidance. That's something else to consider too if you're just getting into the hobby. The last thing you want to do is put it up for your first time and smack into a tree. Now, if we're going to talk about the Mini 2, we should talk about the Mini 3 and the Mini 3 Pro. Now, this is really tempting because it offers that vertical shooting. It looks a hell of a lot better with the vertical shooting rather than shooting horizontal and then cropping in. However, the second that you get into that Mini 3, sorry, there's fire ants over here, and I'm not trying to live that life right now. The thing about the Mini 3, the second you start getting into that world, you're looking at $900. By the time you get memory cards and everything else, you're looking at $1,000. The thing with the Mini 3 Pro, we're still flying a Mini at that point. They just don't have the weight, and because they are under 250 grams, 249 grams and below, you don't have to register it and everything else. Some people are into that sort of thing, some people are not. Some people don't care. Personally, I'm a FAA Part 107 certificate holder, so I don't care. I like to have the heavier drones, and I'm going to tell you why. You see, typically whenever I shoot, I want to be able to fly in pretty much any environment. I live in southern Florida, or southwest Florida rather, and weather can be pretty unpredictable. One day it can be nice and cloudy and everything else and still, and you think you're about to get some amazing panos, and the next minute all of a sudden you've got a storm rolling in, and I kid you not, it can be sunny on one side of this bridge over here and then dark on the other side, and you just wow, I don't even know what's going on. My point behind that is whenever that wind starts picking up, you run a real risk of a flyaway, and so that's when having a heavier drone comes into handy. So it's not always about registering and regulations and everything else. The fact of the matter is, personally, I like to have a heavier drone with more battery and with more flight time and more weight behind it and more power behind the props, because if all of a sudden, even if the wind down here is 8 miles an hour, up there it's going to be different. It's going to be higher, it's going to be faster, maybe even slower. Maybe it's going to fluctuate, right? And the stronger your motors and props are, the better it's going to be at keeping that nice little level horizon and getting those banging shots that you're really after. We are talking about the Mavic Air 2 or the Air 2S. Now, the Air 2S is going to bring you up to around $1,500 investment to get into the game. Now, the footage and the photo quality, the low light capabilities on the Air 2S, absolutely. However, because it is reaching that $1,500 threshold, it's no longer in our scope of what we're talking about today. So while the image quality is great, and I would absolutely recommend it as a heavier drone to get your feet in the door and to produce amazing, beautiful quality shots, with it being at $1,500, I gotta tell you, that's a hell of an investment. With gas prices and grocery prices all over the world going crazy right now, a lot of us don't have that $1,500 as expendable income to get into a hobby that we may or may not enjoy. You crash that thing one time, you might decide to just put it in the closet and collect dust. And that's not okay. That's not where we're going after here. Because honestly, the Mavic 3 Cine, we're looking at almost $6,000 to get into that game. DJI FPV, you can find those for $1,000. But sometimes if you get client work or something, they don't want FPV, they want that level horizon and whatnot. So to me, what is the best drone to get under? Well, Mavic Air 2, the original one, not the S. I'm going to go ahead and tell you why right now. The Mavic Air 2 is a game that you can get into for right around $800. And what you get for that package is an amazing ability to fly a heavier drone that's going to be able to handle like higher winds. And it's not going to break the budget. It's going to shoot 4K up to 60 frames per second. It shoots JPEG and RAW. It's just a beast. Now, you might want to bring up the argument the Mini 3 Pro is a beast. Absolutely. Gets the vertical, 4K, high res, everything else. Shoots RAW. Like, on paper, it seems like that drone is the one that's going to just cure everyone's problem. And I get that. I absolutely do. But the fact of the matter is, the second these winds start kicking up out here, I can't take off. That thing's going to get blown around and tossed around like a rag doll. And to me, I like having that peace of mind of knowing that if I'm going to be flying for the purpose of getting excellent quality, stable quality, I want to have that heavier drone. So the Mavic Air 2 is going to definitely be winning right now. Simply because, one, the weight. Two, the price point is just super sweet right now. If you want, I do have an affiliate link that I'm going to drop down into the description so for you to check out. Like, you go ahead, click on it, and you'll see exactly what I mean. But like, the Mavic Air 2 is absolutely a beast. There's an attachment that goes for it that I'm about to pull the trigger on, I believe, which is really going to make this a contender with FPV. It's going to make it a contender even with the Air 2S. It's going to be, it's one of those investments that you might think that your drone is outdated. Like, if you're like me, you already have the Mavic Air 2, you're like, dang, all these other cool things are coming out. But this is going to be something that could be a complete game changer for the Mavic Air 2. I've already said too much. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons and ring the notification bell, because pretty soon you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. But thanks so much for checking out this channel again. I know I've been away for a while, but we're back. So anyways, have a good one, and we're going to catch you later. Happy Wednesday. Later.